Hello, girlfriends. Welcome to Girlfriend2Girlfriend. I'm Jabbour, the founder and creator of the Girlfriends Club, and I'm so happy to see you all this evening. Thanks for joining me. And I am just so, uh, I want to say the word blessed because I have such a wealth of friendship out there. And it's not only you girlfriends that are local, but on a global level. And all of you reaching out and communicating with each other on my posts every morning. It just makes me feel amazing that connections are being made globally. And to all of my girlfriends here in the Northeast, you know I love you all, and I thank you all for being a part of my life. And tonight, wow, I'm honored and privileged to have two special girlfriends with me tonight. The first one, as you know, is Jane Hansen, who's been my partner in crime here many times on Girlfriend2Girlfriend. And I'm so happy that she's back to join me tonight. And she's all tan, and I couldn't be pastier, but Jane, you look great.
Crime, what did we do? Just
Wow.
want to know. So do I look like I'm in Nashville or something?
No, you
I'm
just
like
kind of look.
I'm getting into my inner country western star thing in honor of Michelle. I don't
Oh,
know
well,
why,
you
but
look amazing. You look great. You look relaxed. And I
thank
know you've been working really hard
I
and you haven't had much downtime. And I really appreciate you spending some of your downtime with us this evening.
so what's happening? How are you?
Oh, there's so much going on. I mean, we could sit here and spill the tea for a couple of hours, and I probably couldn't get through chapter one.
Oh my God,
But
I
life
want to know. Maybe we need to do something else. I don't know. Maybe we got
but
to have.
life as we know it, it's just so busy. And between work and play and just keeping it together,
Did you?
life is just busy, 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 and yet we're still in the pandemic.
I know, but did you get vaccinated?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I
Well,
mean,
I know you can only now be allowed to get vaccinated because I think it's just now that people over 18, right?
yes, and I am just over 18. So, you know what? I've just been waiting for this. And when I saw that announcement, I'm like, I can line up now because I
Hooray.
really, the demographic is finally here. But, I will definitely, I'm assuming within the next couple of weeks, I'll get on someone's list somewhere, somehow, and get vaccinated. What about you?
Well, I have been vaccinated, and I have to tell you the way in which I got the appointment. I mean, I am in Florida, so it's a little bit looser here to so,
Okay.
but I got my appointment through the Hard Rock Casino.
Oh, well, that's when I'll have to hit you up for that information at another time. Well, I'm
I
glad
mean,
you got back.
it's literally it's legit, but it was, people do unusual things. They line up at Publix to get the vaccine at the end of the night. I know lots of people that have done that, so it's like crazy.
Which one did you get?
I got which one did I get? Not,
Pfizer?
yeah, I got Pfizer.
Okay. You just
I
had
mean,
a moment.
I had a moment because I'm like, which one did I get? But it was the moment that jab went into my arm, as they say in Britain, that jab, I felt so released. It was amazing.
Okay, so you could be my traveler. You let
I,
me know how it's going out there.
they've been talking about that Empire State Pass in New York.
Yeah, the Excelsior Pass, and I'm a little salty about it. I'm going to tell you why. So, peeling back the onion on it, it says it's only valid for 30 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that your vaccine's only valid for 30 days. And after 30 days, you need to get a test. So, more on that later. Hmm.
I don't, that's not
It
right.
doesn't make sense,
Not
right?
right, because I don't know how that works. And I
Yeah.
know they're talking about we need to get, booster shots and all that kind of stuff. But why did I have a blank on the word Pfizer? All of a
I
sudden,
don't know. It's okay.
oh my
It's
God.
all good. But before we go on any further, we should bring on our girlfriend, Michelle.
No, she's so
You
wonderful,
know?
isn't
So,
she?
everyone, say hello to Michelle Gadsden-Williams. Where are you, Michelle?
She's coming.
Here she is.
There
There
she
she
is,
is. The
looking
first girlfriend to
smiling.
girlfriend. You're
Aw,
the
thank you.
first one.
It was.
Great to see you both.
When was that? Like a year and a half or almost 2 years?
Yeah.
No, a year and a half ago?
It was a year and a half ago. We were live in October of 2019, if you can
Yep.
believe it.
Wow.
And it was, you were the beginning of something fabulous. And now, thank the Lord, you're here to continue something fabulous.
You are fabulous.
I am here and delighted to be here with you both, two of my favorite people on the planet.
Yay, we're going to get on the road trip soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three of
And
us are
by the
gonna
way,
take this on the
since
road.
then, you've gotten this amazing job.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, when I heard what you were doing, so tell everybody.
I'm pretty sure he didn't find it in the classifieds.
So as you know, prior to my move to Blackrock, I worked in the professional services industry. So I was with Accenture for a few years. I decided I really liked professional services. I didn't love it. And so I really wanted to do the work that I love in an industry that I was familiar with. So I did spend time in financial services. And so I had a few friends on the inside. I had heard about this opportunity. And there's a gentleman there who sits on the GEC by the name of Frank Cooper, who's a wonderful friend of mine. He's our CMO. He reached out to me to say, we have this amazing opportunity that you would be perfect for. Come and talk to us. So I went in and I spoke to everyone from Larry Fink to Rob Capito and a host of others. And, you know, it's really interesting in the space of diversity practice, and maybe because I've been doing it a long time, there are a few things that I look for in conversations with CEOs and others in this space. I look for the courage to act, the commitment to lead, and the conviction to change. And if any of that is missing in the conversation, I tend to look the other way because I've seen that movie before where there are companies who tend to oversell what they're doing and there's no accountability. You get in there and it's a whole nother set of issues. Well, that was not here at Blackrock. And so they just talked with a sense of humility and empathy and compassion because it was right after the George Floyd scenario that took place when I started talking to them. So they were still dealing with some of the internal aftermath of that horrible situation. And so I was convinced then, and even more so now, that this is an organization that really wants to get it right. And I really wanted to be a part of it. So delighted to be there. And it really makes me smile. I'm smiling big because I'm really happy with where I am and the impact that my team and I are making.
So if I could just say one thing about Blackrock and Larry Fink, he's made a really deep and big commitment to women, to diversity, to inclusivity, and it's coming straight from the top of the ladder,
Absolutely.
which in a lot of corporations is not true.
I agree with you there, Jane. It's
Yeah.
not. They're doing this. They're
Right.
doing a lot of this, but there's no action.
Right.
In
And
most cases, yeah, I would agree.
yeah. So to me, it's all about you gotta, you know, lots of people can talk the talk, but it's walking the walk that makes the huge difference. So great job.
And they have to, you know what, if you don't take action, what's the point, right? And today, people are all over. We're all talking about it. I mean, look at where you landed. You're at Blackrock. Would you have thought you would have been there a year ago?
No,
Oh my God, you were happy. You were happy.
looking at Blackrock, to be honest with you. I was
Yeah.
looking at other firms and I was wooed and wowed by several. I actually had a job offer when I was talking to Blackrock. And I said, well, let's see what they have to say. But boy, I'm really happy that I did pursue the opportunity because, you know, I'm just, you know, I was really convinced that, you know, this is an organization that really wants to get it right. And so delighted to be there. My peers are wonderful. The culture is amazing. And so just very happy all the way around.
Tell us about the culture. What is that when you say it's amazing? You know,
No.
what makes it amazing? Because I would imagine your bar's pretty high.
Really?
I want to know what amazing is to Michelle Gadsden-Williams.
I think that of all the places I've ever been, this is an organization, not only are the people brilliant at what they do, but you know, they run to the fire. They don't run away from it. And there's a real genuine sense of camaraderie and collegiality and all of those things that I really have never seen before. Because I've worked in major, big multinational organizations where, there's a lot of silos and, it's, this is my area, don't come into it. So there's a lot of territorialism and all those kinds of things. That's not at BlackRock at all. And so I would liken it to be a wildly successful startup that's doing some incredible things for the world. And so I'm just really just honored to be a part of this organization. I really am. I can't even speak
Well,
more.
you're just so bubbly. It's, so they foster a sense of community,
Yes,
which is really important. And, and I would imagine that's pretty hard right now,
yeah,
considering, all the restrictions that we're facing in the workplace. I know I haven't seen my colleagues in over a year. We have not been together in the office. How has that been for you? Because you started in the middle of the pandemic, right? You said September 2020, correct?
September 14th is when I started. So yeah, in the midst of COVID, I do go into the office 1 or 2 days a week. I just need to get out and about. I'm an extrovert by nature, so I enjoy being around people, even if it's only one person. So there's a lot of
I
people
hear
around,
you.
Yeah.
but I just like to be in an office environment. So I do go in once or twice a week, and there are people who are there, and
Yeah.
so few people who
I
are.
I heard that they were actually trying to get a lot of people back into the office at BlackRock, they felt like, especially young people that had been recently hired,
Hmm.
because there's the mentoring, the ability to onboard them appropriately, to have them kind of learn about their colleagues. It's really hard to do virtually. And you
It
must have to deal with that a
It is.
lot.
We're also trying to keep our people safe. So we don't
Right,
force anyone to come into the office if they're not comfortable in doing
right,
so.
right.
Uh,
But it's a unique combination at this moment in time.
Absolutely. We give people the choice. And so, we keep everyone safe. We have, COVID testing on site. If you want to have it done, we take all the precautions. So it's very, very safe. I go in 2, 3 days a week and it's fine. I take all the precautions.
Well,
So
they're taking it seriously. They want to protect their family,
yeah.
right? And then that's basically the net. So my big question is one of your quotes is, if your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. What are you dreaming about now, girl? Because you're at BlackRock. Are you going to the White House?
Well, I'm not going to take credit for that quote. That was something I had heard the CEO of Accenture say on a number of occasions, Julie Sweet. Um, I just love what it represents. If your dreams
It's
don't scare you, they're not big enough. And so I've always had big dreams. As a young girl growing up in North Edison, New Jersey, I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be an executive at a major corporation. My father's a retired executive from corporate America, so I had him as the role model. My mother's an entrepreneur. So I knew that I wanted to wear the tailored suits and exude power and all those kinds of things. And I would intern at my father's company every summer. So I saw that he had his own private parking space. And I said, I want some of that. I
Well,
knew at a very early age that I just had visions of big dreams, big goals. And so as I'm getting closer to my mid 50s,
wow, you look like you're about 35,
I
girl.
know.
thank you, thank you. What am I dreaming about? You know,
Come on, come on.
okay. So my spare time, although I'm writing my second book, as I
Yes.
both privately, but I also have aspirations to produce film.
Good.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
what? What would your first
Will be
film
a
be?
consulting producer,
Like climb?
documentary, possibly. But I enjoy movies and I enjoy the art of storytelling and I enjoy the arts. And so I have been in conversations with friends of mine who are in the industry. And so I'm a consulting producer for an upcoming documentary. And I'm
What
also
is it? Can you tell us?
not
Yeah.
yet, not yet.
Oh,
Oh, come on. Come on, Ellie. You're really good at getting things out of people.
Well,
She's
Michelle.
not going to tell
well,
us.
it is about a girlfriend of mine who is based in Pennsylvania. And she's a former lacrosse field hockey player. She's an African-American woman. And as we all know, that's not a sport that's typically dominated by Black people and brown people. So what she's done is she's taken this notion of diversity, and by helping inner city kids or underprivileged kids, youth in Pennsylvania, to show them the art of the sport of lacrosse and field hockey. And so she's gotten national attention by way of her organization. And so there's someone who's quite famous who is looking at her and who will be telling her story shortly. So I am in the documentary as her mentor, which I'm really proud of. I'm proud of her and who she is and how she shows up in the world. But yeah, so filmmaking, I really want to get into sharing stories of women from all different walks of life. And, you know, I'm a feminist at heart, so I enjoy telling our stories.
Well, I think we all are, but I still want to know who is it? Just whisper it to us. Come on. Okay, so that is so amazing. But you mentioned your father, and I
Yeah,
know
we have to talk about Dad because, you know, he impacted all of us that night when you were talking about being at the dinner table.
Yeah. Ah, the first man I ever fell in love with, my dad.
well, he was in love with you first, just by
Yeah.
the way.
Yes. And both my parents. I don't want to forget about my mom, but she's wonderful also. But you know, there it's that father-daughter relationship. I can't even, you know, when I think about it, it just, you know, my eyes, you know, they just swell. Um, you know, Dad is just an incredible human being. He genuinely cares about people. And everything that I know, every part of me as I am, he taught me in terms of, you know, just how I show up in the world. And he taught me the value of being seen and heard and valued, and making sure that I knew what my place was in the world. You know, one of the things that I talk about is, and Dad, from the time I can remember, I must have been about 2 or 3. I'm a twin, so my twin sister Monique and I have a much younger sister. She's 14 years younger. But Dad would always say every morning, you know, so girls, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Without fail, every day. And that was my parents' way of allowing you to crisply articulate who you are, what your contribution is going to be in the world, and to dream and think big, bigger than where you are.
Mhm.
So by having us go through that exercise every day, by the time I was 7, I had my elevator pitch down. And it was, it was amusing because we would have relatives and neighbors, and on cue, you know, my sisters and I would say, you know, my name is Michelle Gadsden, and I'm 7 years old, and I'm going to be this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to travel the world, and this is the impact. I mean, so imagine that at 7 years old.
I love it.
Well, I just want to say that what you're saying brings tears to my eyes, and I know the same is true for Allie, because for both of us, our fathers were amazing, amazing life characters. My father gave me everything in the world, and it makes me cry to hear you saying those words, because it's exactly how my father was. He
Yeah.
gave me the confidence and the belief in myself
Yeah.
that has stayed with me in my heart to this day.
Yeah.
So it's
I
so
mean,
crucial.
every tool in my arsenal, I attribute to my parents, and especially to my dad, because, you know, he taught me and showed me by example what excellence looked like,
Mhm.
and that you could be more than. Don't let anyone, because you're a brown little girl, not to let anyone tell you what your limitations are. There are no limits. You can be anything you want to be. So when I would say things like, Dad, I'm going to travel the world and I'm going to live in this on this continent and I'm going to do this, that, and the other, they didn't scoff at it. They didn't laugh at it. They allowed us to talk through it. And what's interesting, I think in some ways I was prophesizing my career, because I did travel to various continents. I did live in Switzerland for 10 years. I did manage people. I did, you know, have and still do, I have a meaningful career in corporate America. So all the things that I dreamt about, you know, came to fruition. And I think it's largely due to the fact that I had parents who just didn't place limitations on us. So I dreamt big. I still dream big. But it was the tools and the information that was provided to us very early on, and unrelenting straight talk, as I call it. That's what it was. Unrelenting straight talk. It's like express yourself the way you want to be seen and heard and known for. Who are you?
And I think, Michelle, that that's what you exude. You just emote that. You're effervescent that way. You are so complimentary to people and to yourself. You're so authentic. And that's a word to me that is just it's a word of privilege. Someone that's authentic is just incredibly pure. And I appreciate that in you. And that's one thing that, you talk about parents. My father always said, be authentic, be fair, and be kind.
Yeah.
Because nobody can shame you on any of those. And your authenticity, you have a huge job. You are an author. You have made an impact on the world, and you're just real as hell. And I love that. You're so approachable.
Thank you. All that I've ever wanted to do, and I've been very consistent in this message, is to leave this place in better condition than when I entered. And,
Amen.
and I, I knew that at a very young age that I had a very unique perspective on a lot of things, and that and being the fact that I am an identical twin, and one of the things that I wrestled with as a twin is, and when you're identical, is people tend to couple you as a pair.
Mhm.
And I wrestled with trying to find my place in the world, trying to find my own unique sense of self as an individual. As much as I love my twin siblingship, love my sister, we're very close, but I just wanted to find my own footing. I wanted to find my place. And I knew that, and even now, you fast forward to current day, I still look to break out of any mold, to be different, to be unique, and to think about I'm a former marketer, so what's my USP? What's my unique selling proposition?
Mhm.
And what's going to differentiate me from everyone else around me? And so when I think about the things that I do and how I do it and why I do it, those are the questions I ask myself before I make any decision about anything. It doesn't have to be about career. It could be about buying a home or buying a car or whatever it is. There has to be purpose behind it. And so everything that I do is anchored in purpose and intention. So thank you for saying those things, because I
Well, it's
really,
the truth.
The truth, but I want to know, so do you think it's your efforts to be even more unique come from the fact that that you had, the twin, that you were so close, you were so, like, could people tell the difference between you two from looking at you when you were little?
no.
Yeah.
Our neighbors and even some relatives would say twin, like that was your first name. Instead of Monique or Michelle, they would say twin, and I would find that so annoying.
I'm sure. Did they dress you alike?
I would say, my name is Michelle. Let's be clear about something. That's Monique. I'm Michelle. And here's a way for you to tell us apart. I have a little mole here. Monique's a little taller. So I kind of gave them,
Here's
language.
the roadmap.
Yeah, a roadmap that they could tell us apart. But, I wrestled with, trying to break out and to be my own person. And so even, yeah, it's something that I wrestled with. I still wrestle with it. But
Well,
I'm better for it as a result, because I'm so self-aware of who I am as a person and as a professional.
well, you certainly are, but so your book Climb, even though it was written, what now, almost 2 years ago?
Yes.
Could it ever have a more appropriate time than right now in this world's journey? I mean, seriously, like if you could give, for people who haven't read it yet, if you can give them one message, what's the biggest and best takeaway that you want them to have from it?
Hmm. There are some of us in the working world who have an easy go of it and who can take the proverbial elevator up to the C-suite, and others not so much. We have a different path. We have to take the stairs with a backpack and no air conditioning.
Mhm.
That was my journey. And so no matter how you ascend, wherever you are, whatever industry you're working in, we each have a journey that twists and turns and ebbs and flows, but enjoy the journey. There's so much goodness in each experience. So I chose the title Climb for a reason. And I love words. I'm a voracious reader. And climb, as we know, by definition, it means to ascend, to go upward with gradual or continual progress. That's how I would define my career as a woman, as a woman of color, and as a person who does what I do, diversity, equity, and inclusion as a practice.
Yeah, that's just, that's amazing. But what's the title going to be of the new book? Do you have it titled yet? Is
Driven
that a
by
secret too? Come on, we want
Yes.
every secret.
driven by intention. Yes, that's a new title. And so that book will be out in April of 2022. I had to push it back. It was supposed to be out in the fall, but given the new job, and I'm trying to be a good corporate citizen and do my job.
Oh gosh. Gets
Um,
in the
Like,
way.
how much can you hold up? I mean, come on.
I know, but getting up at 4 a.m. And starting to write and all those kinds of things, yeah. But driven by intention. It's a book about, it's for impact seekers. And this notion of intention, that's one of my favorite words. And it's a guidepost for millennials. I'm just fascinated by millennials in the workplace and how they show up,
Yeah.
and how they tell
I
you
agree.
have your job tomorrow. And I just find it fascinating.
Oh, well, wait a minute though. Did you not feel that way when you were, 30 or
To a
25?
certain extent, but to a certain extent, but there was an appreciation, at least on my part, that, you know, you have to, there's a trajectory. There's a
Yeah, you have to climb.
dues. Yeah, there's dues that have to be paid. So that's
Yes.
the
I
generation.
understand that, but I remember thinking I went to work for NBC when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, yeah, I should absolutely be here. And then I walked in the door and I met all these phenomenal veteran reporters and anchors. And I'm kind of like,
Reality.
joking? But the only smart thing I did was went to them and asked for their advice and asked for the history and asked for them to lay the lay of the land, which God only knows how I could have been that smart back then because I wasn't smart. But I'm just saying that I do think that when you're that young, you think you can do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I'm not so sure that they're all that different than we were, but they do think, they do think a little differently. We
But I
all
think
have, we have millennial children, so
I think this is another complete
also
episode.
more vocal than we were. Like the millennials, especially the young women, they ask for what they want. Like we a
Oh,
little bit more stealth
Never.
in how we show.
never. Did you ever ask?
Kept your head down, you did
Yeah.
your job. Hopefully somebody was paying attention, and there you go. But I think it's so funny to watch these young people because I mentor them, and I learn a lot from them. This is not a slight against them at all. I'm writing a book about for them. And so it's really, and Driven by Intention is a real case study. And I've interviewed 13 people, 12 women, one man. And
oh,
yes,
Who's the man?
Alex Gorski, the chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson, who is my mentor and my sponsor,
Oh,
a male ally perspective in the book. Because all of the other women are women in media, sports, entertainment, business. I mean, these are, I have interviewed Melody Hobson.
I
I
love her.
interviewed a woman by the name of Arlen Hamilton, who if you don't know who she is, I suggest everyone read her book. Here's a young woman who wanted to become a venture capitalist. Through trial and error, she found herself being homeless while she was pitching to a millionaire to get her first $1 million startup fund going. And she's now one of the most successful venture capitalists probably in the States. I mean, she's just amazing. I have, oh gosh, Sherry Salata, who worked for Oprah. She ran the own Harpo Studios for 25 years and built the brand of Oprah Winfrey. And she tells her story about being intentional. So all of these stories, all of these women are just case studies that I've written about in terms of how they've leveraged this notion of intentionality in order to be successful. And the red thread about all of these women is that some had very, very humble beginnings, very. And most have middle class beginnings. Some were just below middle class, had very, very hard upbringings. But the red thread through it all is that they all had a North Star. And they said, you know, come hell or high water, I'm going to achieve this. And it was just interesting hearing their unvarnished, truthful stories about how they were able through trial and error. Some tried and failed, and then they just made it. And
Just saying, this sounds like a great film.
Yes, it does.
so stay
I
tuned.
think you discovered another secret, Allie.
Hi, Michelle. You know, we're out of time, which stinks.
Oh, it does sting, but that's
You're gonna have to come back.
I will.
Gosh.
God, look at her face. She's glowing.
I know. I'm like, we didn't even spill any fun tea. We did spill fun tea, but you have to come back so we can really, talk about you and, and the inner, what's going on in here, Michelle, that you can share with all of us, because you're just remarkable.
Mhm.
And spending time with you is just a joy. And I have to think about my intention, but I have to say that I am definitely a better soul for knowing you. And I'm going to watch this episode back. And when I do, I am going to just be rewarded with your words again, because you're poetic and you're so thoughtful in your delivery. And I appreciate that.
Well, thank you both. You are my girlfriends, and I
Oh.
imagine having this dialogue with anyone else but the two of you. So thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of it.
And you'll be back.
Can't wait for the next book. I can't wait for the films, duplicate films. Blah, it goes on and on and on.
Climb.
Inspiration. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. And
Thank
everyone,
you.
love you. And we'll see you next week on Girlfriend to Girlfriend.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
Bye-bye.